All right, greetings everybody. Just starting on time just to see who will show up right now. 12:01 something. Today's financial information workshop. Of course, it's coming to you Zoom. Normally, it would be held at our church that we have, hosted by our church, Sunlight Christensen in Richmond. But since the coronavirus, we had to do things a little bit different. Of course, everybody else is doing the same thing. So we're Zooming. Hey, so thank you for joining today. I just hope the workshops would be more beneficial to you and everybody else that you know. I am recording this, and eventually I will post this onto the website under the financial workshops events thing so that you can view this later. So I'm just going to go ahead and pretty much get started with the workshop for today. The workshop today will be maybe considered number 2, workshop number 2, if you want to call it that. Workshop number 2 will be consisting of basically showing you, we'll be talking about videos or talking about people that have financial issues that did an interview. So that means it's open to the public, so we can talk about it to a point, but it's not our recording, just to let you know. And everything that we record and show is not something that we agree or disagree on, but just the basis for discussion. All right? Okay, so my name is Anthony Gladney, if I have not said that already. I am an independent financial professional. I basically started up a business or joined with a financial institute about a year ago. This financial institute is basically a couple things going on, far as it's a group of people that has license in California to sell life insurance and many other financial services also. So we all basically work together as independents so that we can give you the best services, the best prices. So you may ask that later on why. That's something we can do on a one-on-one interview with you. But as an independent, I'm not, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not hired by one company, if you want to put it that way. So basically, being licensed still give me the ability to sell you life insurance and stuff like that. But basically, I work with Transamerica. I can work with Pacific Life. There's some other agencies that I can work with also. Something like that we can discuss on one-on-one basis with you. But basically, this workshop that I created is something to introduce people to financial world. The financial world is much more deeper than you think it is. If it's not too late, hopefully in your life, you might be, if you're young enough, you can start something now so that you can protect your future and your family's future. But if not, you're older, in this case, then most of the time it's really hard to start from scratch. So everything financially that you have going on in your life right now, it would be, how do I can say, it'd be hard to just sit down and say, okay, I'm going to stop and do everything I need to do now because you're already obligated in many things. But with this information that we'll be doing over the series of workshops, hopefully it gives you an idea of what you need to do. It hopefully give you the resources. And then maybe later on, it might be a business opportunity for you also. So that's what I'm looking for and hoping for you. So basically, our workshops is a couple Saturdays during the year. Our next one, just to let you know now, will be scheduled for June the 20th. And then we go from there, because that usually would have been the last workshop, about 5 workshops during the year at the beginning of the year. And then we'll stop for a season, and then we help all those who came to the workshop that has questions or looking for services. Basically, we just help service them to get what they needed to do. So then end of the year, before taxes due and all that stuff, they can readjust what they need to as far as taxes, get a financial institution or something to help them out, but we do that also. So all my credentials and information I can send to you, and everything will be here in the workshop on our page at our church. If you have any questions, you can message me. I'll try to put my phone number up if you have any questions also. and email address too. So let's go ahead and go to workshop number 2. Just to give you a rundown, workshop number 1 was basically intro into the financial services that our company offer. And if you missed that, like I said, we could schedule a time where you can sit down, we talk one-on-one, and you get a chance to hear about what the wonderful things that my company does. All right. So our financial workshops will consist of brief intentional educational programs that will focus basically on techniques and skills that you need to have to deal with finances. Um, the workshop itself is not like a classroom type of thing where you get grades or anything like that. It's basically just information. If you have any questions, you can ask me and go forth from there. I will recommend books that you will read much as possible. Since libraries are closed, you either can order some or you might be able to find some information online through some financial places where you can get inserts from books, or might be able to get a free book to read. One of the best books I will recommend to read so far during the workshops is a book by Robert Kiyosaki. He's the Rich Dad, Poor Dad person who wrote the book on Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He also wrote a book on cash flow quadrant. And I'll try to see if I can add that into another video later. But here's the book here. This book is like I ain't gonna say it's like a Bible, but this book tells you everything that you need to do far as starting from a point of understanding what finances, income, and what it does for you in life. Because you need to understand that everything that you own is not something you could leverage as assets. One thing, a lot of conception or misconception people is that once they get a car or a house, they think that this is assets so they can make money from that. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. Just had to do a quick thing real quick. So, like I said in the book, the Cash Flow Quadrant Guide Financial Freedom, EBS, is 4 quadrants to financial status that you need to understand. And the 4 are, let me just point it to you. You have the E, S, B, and I quadrant of the financial world. So basically, you have to understand that E stands for you being an employee, S stands for a sole proprietor, if you want to open up your own business, and then the B is business, but it's a business that you are the owner and not the worker. And that's a very important difference between sole proprietor and having a business. If you really want to get your business going and you start as a sole proprietor, but then when you start hiring people, and then maybe the idea is that you get this business to spread to other things where other people can take up your business and do the same thing as you, multiplying it, then it becomes a business, and then you can really start making some cash flow. And the last one is the I, which is the investment. And if you really want to get into the financial world, you need to get into investing. And there's different things about investing that we can talk about in another workshop there. So this is the basis on this workshop, is based on that book that I showed you, and also many other things that you need to do to care about your family and your future. All right, so let's go to the video that I want to show you. Now this video is about an older man. His name is Derek. He's a homeless man person. I'm not sure if he's homeless at this time, because during the time of this interview, it was about 2 years ago or so, the interview was done. And so at the time he did this interview, he was at 47, age 47. But it's about how he went from being a millionaire down to homelessness. And you think, well, how can that happen if you had $1 million? But like I said, all because you have $1 million doesn't mean you're totally rich and wealthy. It just means you have a lot of money coming in at one time or another, but that doesn't mean that that income will stay there. And we'll talk about that at the end of the video when I'm talking about that. So you have to understand that the wealthy found ways to make passive income. And that's a key word that you need to write down and research. Passive income. Creating a passive income will generate money even when you're asleep. passive income will generate money even if you're not working a full-time job, but you are working on your business. And that's where that passive income, you have to go from being a sole proprietor or employee and go to the business side and the investment side of the quadrant that we showed you in the book there. And we'll talk about that later in some workshops also. So I'm going to show the video and then we'll talk about everything after the person. So if you want to write down some notes, that would be great for yourself. But the video will be here so you can come back to it later on and for a while. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and switch to the video real quick, so pay attention.
Derek, we're here in Oakland. We're at a city-sanctioned tent community that basically you founded and oversee.
Yes.
Well, first let's talk about your homelessness and how you ended up homeless, because you have a very interesting story.
Yeah, it was an interesting road getting here. I worked for over 20 years with the United States Department of Defense as a classified contractor. Had developed some health issues because of my work, forced into retirement in 2007. I was a multimillionaire. I had plenty of money to retire on, so I was fine with retiring, and I was only 47. And so I bought a home in North Carolina on a beautiful lake. 2.5 months later, my financial institution went bankrupt overnight, no warning. And it was devastating. Yeah,
you lost a lot of money, and for those of you watching this video that don't believe him, I've seen the picture, just the picture of his boat alone. This man had money.
Yeah, I had 3 boats. I had a home here in Oakland, $1 million home here in Oakland, and I bought a $500,000 home in North Carolina.
Yeah, and we should clarify this is years ago, because $1 million home in Oakland,
no, in Oakland
probably ain't
nothing.
worth much these days.
No, that's a fixer-upper.
Right.
But I had a home here in one of the most prestigious parts of Oakland, the Grand Lake area. That home was a family home. It was built by my great-grandfather. Yeah. Not built by him, but he commissioned it. And it was in the family the whole time until I retired and moved to North Carolina.
My heart breaks for you, because I lost everything in the '08 crash, yeah. But I didn't have millions.
Yeah, and I didn't see anything coming. I had a backup plan to work back there in case things kind of went south, and when things go beyond what your backup plan can do, I was literally left with little to no options. I had about $6,000 in my local checking account. Got by for a little while by renting, or not renting, but taking a title loan out on my boat that I had back there. Ended up losing that because, again, there was no work. Back then, here in the Bay Area, we would see one page of foreclosures. Out there where I was, it was 3 newspaper pages of foreclosures every day. So
yeah, when I first hit the economic crash, they weren't yet saying the R word. Mm-hmm. So I wish I'd known, because I would have walked away from the house. Instead, I was paying the mortgage, the electric bill, food on my credit card. So when my house finally went into foreclosure, I had this tremendous credit card debt. Yeah. And so I lost the house anyways. So we try to struggle and survive, and you just crash into homelessness.
We did the exact same thing. I had plenty of credit back then. I had the boat, took out the title loan, got a $25,000 title loan on the boat, and I was hoping to pay that off because I didn't want to lose the boat. Had some work promised, but then because of the time, those jobs fell through, and I fell into homelessness. Came back to the Bay Area. My dad was able to allow me to move back into his home. Just a short time later, he collapsed with colon rectal cancer one night, and by the time I found out what he had, they said he only had 6 months to live. And it was a complete shock to me, because I wasn't aware that my dad was that severely ill, because he hid that. He hid it from me. And he survived about another year and a half. He had some medical insurance because he worked in the shipyards and the federal government, but it wasn't enough to cover his assisted living. Assisted living for him was $3,800 a month. That was 2010 up through 2011, and when he passed away. So $3,800 every month. His insurance, his medical insurance, covered about $1,500, and then he had ongoing medical issues that had to be dealt with regularly, plus transport to the hospital for treatments. And then in his final week of life, he wasn't even mentally around when in his final week, so it was very devastating. And then the court taking the home from me, and that put me out on the street, literally, because I just grabbed whatever I was able to salvage from the home, because the court gave me an eviction notice. I had a certain amount of time to clear the house of everything and be gone. And so I did that. Sofa surfed with a lot of friends for up until April of 2013. Went into the shelter up the street, EOCP, East Oakland Community Project, also known as Crossroads. Stayed there for 91 days. They gave me access to a housing list. Housing list was only available through that shelter, and so we didn't know that nobody else had access to it. So I did manage to find a slumlord, and I had a voucher for money that would pay my rent, including that for my dogs that I had at the time, because that was the hardest part, finding anybody who would accept a homeless person and had pets. All of my advocates that work with me at the shelter told me, you got to get the dogs out.
Right. That's a huge issue.
And those dogs have been with me since they were puppies.
Right.
They're like your children.
Right.
You can't give them up. But people say, well, you got to make a choice. It's your dogs or housing.
Right.
Yeah.
So you found a slumlord,
Mm-hmm.
and that didn't work out
That
well.
didn't work out too well. She didn't want to fix the problems. Instead, how she fixed her problem was by evicting me in a record 20 days.
And so then you tenanted right here.
I came out here.
By yourself.
Yep. Yeah. In fact, my first place wasn't the tent. It was literally behind a hedge sandwiched between a plant and the wall of a building right behind you. Quite literally, because that was my first year. And it took them 2 weeks to find me. I was so well hidden inside of that hedge that they couldn't see me. The guards here didn't know I was here. Nobody knew I was here.
Stealth camping.
Stealth camping.
I have a homeless friend that calls it stealth camp.
Yeah. And the other thing was that this area was one of Oakland's premier dumping grounds. And so I had plenty of materials to choose from.
Right.
A lot of materials were brand new. I had contractors dumping off brand new insulation, plywood, plastic, I had couches, so there was all sorts of items to choose from to create my my shelter and my home. And then in 2015, when I was diagnosed myself with colorectal cancer, I ended up moving from there and then starting the tent, because during my recovery period I needed a place to not only be able to lay out for long periods of time, but also have my friends help me to do the daily things that I needed to do, like getting water.
And you were still homeless, recovering.
I'm still homeless.
Yeah, no respite care.
No respite care. Spent 6 days in the hospital. They knew I was homeless. They had a caseworker from City of Oakland and also social services trying to find me housing before they released me.
But there was no housing.
There was no housing.
So then, because I pick on you, because you're here by yourself, and then people start seeing you.
Yeah.
You got to hide better. You stopped hiding good, I guess.
I stopped hiding really well.
So it grew.
And people just started moving in, becoming my neighbors, and we got to know each other. We started a community. Literally, we started a community. We watched out for each other. We shared food. We barbecued together. We at night we'd have security. And we would come up with things for each of us to do, duties, assignments, things that would help further the group.
Yeah. I mean, so there's 35 people that live here.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's changed.
No, that's seems to be a pretty constant number here. 35 is comfortable. There are days that we may run a little low, and then some days a little higher.
And several of the people, I think about half, work.
Yep, most of these people work here. They go to jobs Monday through Saturday. Some have restaurant jobs. Some work at gyms. Some we used to have a UPS driver here. I mean, a full-blown UPS driver was homeless, and that says a lot. That how crazy housing is. If a fellow who's making good money as a UPS driver can't afford to rent an apartment here in the town that he works in, that's insane. And so we have grandmothers here, we have young adults here. We fill the whole gamut.
Yeah. So you told me how you got city sanctioned, and what that means is the city provides porta potties, they pick up trash, there's a hand washing station provided by the city. They know you're here, the police aren't going to harass you.
Right.
But how it happened was you were cleaning up the trash, and the city noticed and said, what's going on here?
Well, this isn't normal. Normally homeless people make the trash, they don't clean it up. And I got the taggers moved on, so we removed the taggers. We used to have a lot of crime down here where cars were being stolen and stripped. That no longer exists. We used to have a lot of Johns and prostitutes here throughout the night.
It was just a bad area.
Yeah, it was just a horrible, horrible situation, and police weren't coming here. So that's what originally brought me here, was that there was a lack of anybody supervising the area. And so I'd set up shop, and then I didn't want the crime, and so I set out to clean it up, and then everybody noticed.
Yeah. And then the city came in and sanctioned you.
The city came in, said, we like what you're doing, you're not causing a problem, you're solving problems, and we want to help you. Yeah.
And recently Invisible People sent a reporter here. One thing I was proud of, that I was able to send a reporter into a tent camp to do a positive story, and that got all the way to the city.
Yeah, the city.
And sure, Bart goes by right when it's, thank you, Bart. How do you guys sleep here?
Well, after a while, you just get used to it, and then the other thing is, at midnight, Bart stops.
Oh, okay.
Bart stops at midnight.
And in the morning, it's like alarm clock.
And it starts up again. Our first train is about 5:30 in the morning. So.
So, anyways, the story, we got to the city official somehow, and I didn't send it to him. So.
And the city council actually, how the city council got that was that myself and my collective group, we have contacts throughout the city council and also folks that are in touch with the city council, and so we gave them the website.
Okay, so you sent it to them.
We personally sent it to them.
Got it.
Look at this. Look at this.
I was always wondering how they. I didn't know if they were trolling me or not.
Well, that one you can thank your new friend Sam Spade.
Oh,
Sam
okay.
Spade actually sent that to Libby Shaft.
Well, thank you, Sam.
And Sam sent it to a few city council people. And then the city council saw that, and then it just went from there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you guys, they assigned you a housing coordinator.
Yes, and then it was about a week later, the city administrators came down here, spoke with me, said, we're going to give you a brand new housing coordinator to help you with housing.
Right.
And so that's where we've been now.
But
And
there is no housing.
there isn't any housing. That's the unfortunate part. So we have a lot of people that we've prioritized. We've been able to get some folks who needed to get off the street. We got them off the street, thank goodness, because of hospice issues, literally hospice.
Right.
And so city's been very cooperative in assisting us with that, getting those folks into housing. But then as housing becomes more available, we want to get everybody here into something.
And you're trying to do something a little more. I hear you're going to make a bid for mayor.
Yes, I'm actually running for City of Oakland mayor in 2022. Things are going really well right now. I'm really happy with the progress. My message is getting out there. A lot of folks are starting to be made aware of all the property that Oakland actually has to build something and get the folks off the streets. Is on there that's been garnering a lot of interest is the 159 acres that was returned back to Oakland about 30 years ago from the federal government. And Oakland turned down a $350 million offer from the Wayans brothers back in 2007 to build a production studio there. So that gives you an idea how greedy the city of Oakland is. And on top of selling it, they want huge tax dollars in the form of the
But you
property
propose
tax.
that you could do something like this, a
Right.
sanctioned 10 city.
Right. We can put together a community of tiny homes, container homes, tents, and then also RV parking, because there's more than enough room to take at least half the folks off the street and get them into some temporary transitional housing, long-term transitional housing, because right now the city only talks about short-term transitional housing, which is 6 months.
Right.
6 months, you're just getting started on the road.
Nobody can get their life back.
Yeah, you
in 6
can't.
months.
You can't. It's impossible. And so we're talking about a long-term, sustainable model for folks.
Yeah.
In West Oakland, and it's gotten a lot of interest. And
Well,
then,
I wish I lived here so I could vote for you.
I wish I had more folks like yourself that understand the situation and the needs for all the housing that could be available.
Yeah.
But the city is choosing profits over people.
Yeah. Well, I've interrupted you for almost 2 weeks now.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
I think we did a couple live streams. We did some feeding, gave away some socks, recorded some videos. I've been saying for, since I met you, that someday I got to come visit.
Yeah,
and here I am.
And here you are.
So I just want to thank you so much for allowing me to interrupt your week, allowing me to get to meet some of the people in your community. So
it's been quite a pleasure having you. It's been fun learning about what you do, Mark.
yeah. So gotta ask, you know this is coming because you watch and you help us out with our online support group. So Derek is an admin, and he's homeless, and I would not have something to do with homelessness without homeless people involved. So you knew this was coming. You might even be prepared. What's your 3 wishes?
Housing, and more housing.
You did prepare. You were ready. You were waiting for me.
And that's what I plan on bringing when I become mayor in 2022. Housing, and more housing.
Great. Really great spending the week with you.
It's been a pleasure having you, Mark. And you're always welcome to come back.
I'm thinking you got to make me a spot here.
That's not a problem.
Because I can't afford any of the rent around here. So
I can make a spot right there.
There you go. Well, when you become mayor, I'll just take over yours.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't think
I'll just have you on the sofa.
The mayor can't live in a tent city, right?
No, mayor gets to sleep on the sofa in his office.
Ah.
And then I'll have a sofa next to that for you.
Yeah, cool.
All right, so we're back again. Hopefully you paid attention to the video about Derek and his what happened to him with his financial issues, which stemmed from the 2008 financial collapse that caused a lot of people to lose homes, jobs, and many other things in between there. There's a lot of cases out there like this and a lot of stories out there like this. Hopefully I can try to find some more to bring forth to you. Unfortunately, stuff like this happens. What can you do? I mean, tomorrow is not promised when it comes to your job. At any time you can get fired from your job. So what do you do for income? Of course, you say you got to go find another job. Fine. But if you're one of those like him, he had a high skill or high paying skill job as a classified contractor. So he was making a lot of money. So the key is, or in which I could understand or have more in-depth knowledge of this story, was to find out, did he have a financial, I don't say a financial advisor, but maybe a financial professional that could explain to him, hey, you got all this money coming in, maybe you want to set up for a rainy day. Now, if you want to invest in some stuff, let me show you what you should do and what you should not do. And as you can tell in the story, he went and bought him some $1 million homes, one in Oakland and one in North Carolina. He bought 3 boats. I don't know what kind of boats they were, but it was 3 too many for me. I'm just not going to spend all my money on boats. I love to maybe rent a boat, but, you know, when you have a lot of money, the first thing you think of is like, oh, I want to spend it. So even in this workshop, the idea is that we want to change your mindset about money. When you get money, the first thing you don't want to do is go out and buy a $1 million watch. Why would you? The watch only gonna be worn when you wear it, and then that's money wasted already. When you could take that money that you bought for that expensive watch and reinvest it in something, so then even in the bad times, that reinvestment is assets which come back to you in some form or fashion. Now, everybody will say, well, I don't buy a lot of gold, so then if I get poor or something like that, I can sell all my gold. I don't know. I ain't heard nobody say that, but some people probably do think that. And, you know, to buy gold just to sell it later is one thing, but you cannot just rely on gold. Gold is just like a commodity. The price index, it goes up, it goes down, and you never know what the future is going to hold. So the best thing to do is just try to find ways to understand finances, find a way to save money, find a way to generate passive income. And at the same time, the most important thing a lot of people forget is the third thing. You know we all going to die one day. So why not invest in some life insurance for your family? Because you could die tomorrow, and then all your family needs that life insurance to survive themselves. I hope you love your family enough to do that. Now, there's some people out there single and don't have no family. So you say, well, what's the use of getting life insurance? Well, getting life insurance back in the past was just about you dying and somebody getting the money. But today's life insurance, there are a lot of policies out there that could do more than just when you die. One of the flagship programs that we have, we work with Transamerica, is called Term Life LB. It's a term with a life benefit to it. And we can discuss that later. If that's something interested in you, email me, and I can send you like a short video about what it is about. But this term LB, with living with benefit, is that if for some reason, just like him, if you notice how his dad had cancer and then eventually he got the same cancer also, if you already invested in this type of life insurance, especially nowadays, even something like that happened to him, he could pull money for that policy to help pay for bills. So, because the problem with today's life policy, you can't just pull money out and say, oh, I got to pay a medical bill. But with the living benefits one, you can. We can talk about that later. Now, let's get back to the workshop. So, also, if you notice that in there, he bought 2 homes instead of just one. I guess, I don't know what the second one's supposed to be, a vacation home or his main home. But I wouldn't want to have 2 homes in 2 places where I had to pay for it myself. After reading the books about creating assets and passive income, I realized even if I bought a home for investment, the idea is that even though you're going to have a mortgage on that house, and then you're already paying a mortgage on your own house. Now, what if you rent that house out, and then all of a sudden the occupants can't pay it no more? So now you're stuck with 2 mortgages. And see, that happened to a lot of people also that did investment in housing. They purchased houses here, purchased houses there, and then they had mortgages here, mortgages there, and they depended on renting them homes and using the money, the rental income, to pay for the mortgage and make a profit. But the problem with that, well, the home needs to get fixed, the property taxes need to get paid, and then any other costs that come with that. So what if the occupants leave, gone, now you're stuck with the mortgage, right? So then you already got to pay your mortgage on your house. And you think that the money, the extra income you have from the rental property will pay for your mortgage, and then make money. And then you're going to spend your extra money on things, lavish things, and forgot to realize that, you know what, I should have saved some money just for a rainy day. So that's the one thing I want to teach you in this workshop. You have to realize that property rental, you have to understand the cost. And in this book that I showed you about Cash Flow Quadrant, he explained how he went through the same thing with his dad trying to teach him about finances, where he went out there and purchased some rental properties, talking about he's going to make a lot of money renting out the thing. And his dad told him, hey, even if you rent it, you got to worry about this. You got to worry about that. You got to worry about this. And then realize that he may not make enough profit for the place he purchased anyway. The main thing I want to tell you now, if you are one of those who want to get into investing into real estate, especially housing, and want to rent them out to make money, try to pay your mortgage first. Pay it off. No matter what you can do, pay off your mortgage to your house first. So then all you have left is property taxes and maintenance. So then even if you buy a house and rent it out to somebody, and then you're going to work on that mortgage first, not spend all your money up, but try to pay the mortgage on that house off, so then all you got to do is worry about property taxes. Then even if a rough time comes up, which it can happen again, and it will, 2008 with the market crash, it will happen again. If something like that happens again, guess what? All you have to do is just worry about paying the property taxes and the maintenance, and not 2 large mortgages, especially depending on what state you stay in. All right, so let's move on. So what else? He started working at a young age. He's working on that job as a classified contractor in the U.S. Department of Defense, the U.S. military government, right? So he was 47 and he worked there for 20 years. So I estimated that he started working for the government maybe around in his young 20s, about 23 or 24. If I was at that age when I was in the military and somebody told me about this book, well, the book didn't exist at that time, but if somebody explained to me what the real essence of finances is, I probably would have had a whole different lifestyle by now. And even if I created a business, I would have found something, a business that I could do from anywhere if I can, from home, and then just develop on that, or find a way to get a good life policy. So then if something happens to me, at least my family be rich, or at least have some money if I die for some reason. So if somebody told me all that I'm telling you now, back then, I'd be well off at this point. And you could be well off too if you're still young in your 20s now and you're seeing this video. But like most people, we're older, and then this wealth or finance information is not passed from generation to generation. It gets lost. The first generation don't understand it at all, and they don't pass what they know or learn. And then the new generation, they think they know it all, but they really don't. So why you getting homelessness is really widespread now. You have the young and an old that is homeless. That shouldn't be. But anyway, back to the story, and we're doing good on time. So if you notice that he said he took a title loan on his boats, got about $25,000 from it. He had good credit too at the time because he was a multimillionaire. So you think credit will help you last through a turmoil? No, it won't. Because after a while, your credit score is going to go down as you borrow more money and have more expenses and can't pay it back. So now, besides him out of money, his credit is going to be so low, nobody will want to loan him any money anyway. So now his predicament has gotten worse besides the health issues. All right, so with the health issues, his dad died, if you notice that, and then the dad left him a house, but because the house part was not paid and still had a large amount of mortgage on it versus just paying property taxes, now he had to worry about the mortgage, and which he couldn't afford. And then he also, if you notice in the video, he said he tried looking for a job, but see, that's another thing about job skills. You may be happy with the job you have right now, but you have to sit back and realize, like, what kind of job skill do I have on this job that I've been working for over 10 years or more? Can this skill translate into a business? Or can this skill translate into me getting another job if I quit or if something happens to me? Can I get another job right away? Do you have enough experience so somebody can say, oh, you've been working on this job and had this type of skill for a long time. We hire you, you got a good experience. Some cases that can happen, in some cases it may not. Even though you have the experience and the skills for it, but there's a lot of other people you got to compete with also. You got to remember, when the employer hires somebody, when they hire you, it's a cost factor behind that also. Versus a company may look at you and say, well, they can't really technically discriminate. But if they look at a 25-year-old or 20-year-old who just finished college or getting into college and need a job versus somebody who's 45 or 50 and they both applying for the same job, it all depends on what the job looking for. Is they looking for skills and experience, or are they looking for somebody that can pay with a low wage at the beginning to save cost? I don't know. Some companies weigh that out even though they ain't supposed to discriminate, but it can happen and it does happen. So me, myself, I went into a skill set of computer repair, or at least working on computers. So even if I, for some reason, lose my job now, I can find another job dealing with computers in some way, in some fashion. And I look in the paper every day, somebody's hiring. And computers will be here in the future, and they actually will get different and better. So I mean, I have to still continue my education, but it ain't like I got to learn something very, very new. And there's a lot of other job professionals out there that's the same way, that the jobs will always be there. But you have to find out which one that is and try to at least pick up some skills on that. So then if the worst case happens, it happens. Now, in the workshop also, with Derek also, we noticed that that his dad, he said his dad had he had a large coverage of insurance that bills he had to pay like $3,800 a month in bills for his medical treatment. And he was only getting $1,500 from the insurance. So how do you factor that? See, that's the thing. If his dad had the same information that I'm learning how to deal with finances, what if his dad turned around and said, you know what? I should have paid this house off. I could have helped my son them purchase a new home. Let's build that home for rental property and get that income coming in, pay off that mortgage. Then no matter what happens, that income from that house or more could have paid for those medical bills. See how it works out? And then all he has to do is worry about the property tax. And the property tax will come out the mortgage payment from the people renting it anyway. But at least if something happens, all they had to do was just worry about the property tax. And that's the kind of thinking that you need to do also. You have to think about, what can I do to bring in extra income now and the future, and maybe something that my family can benefit from also. That's why everybody's trying to buy rental properties right now. Everybody's trying to buy houses and all that stuff right now. That's what crazy is going on right now. Buy property. So then they could do the same thing. Before you know it, you won't be able to buy no property. Now, you could build all over the country, but eventually at one point, stuff's going to be so expensive, we can't get into the market to buy a house. So you got to start now. But first, you got to take care of your health and your family livelihood with life insurance also. Life insurance is probably the most important thing that can preserve your family, generation to generation lifestyle, okay? So if you want to go out and work and try to get all this stuff done, work on creating a business, work on investing, you're going to work hard, you're going to work late at night, you're going to be traveling, you're going to be on the road, you need to get life insurance. Make sure they're protected now versus trying to do it later. You can get, if matter of fact, if you go get insurance now while you're young, that's the key. While you're young, and just pay on it every, for the rest of your life, that the premium will stay low, really low, versus if you get life insurance now when you're older, because now it's going to be more expensive because of your age. That's how life insurance works. But get good life insurance. Don't just go pick something that just say, oh, covers if you die, and then there's some out there, ADD, after death or dismemberment thing. So you have to think about life insurance. If you don't have life insurance, talk to me. I have a group of people that will help me out to find good product for you. Like I said, we deal with many companies that have life insurance, and we can find you a good rate. It's best to get it now while at your age. If it's possible, you can keep the low premiums versus if you wait 10 years from now or a year from now, especially with the coronavirus going on these days, 2020, there's videos now. A lot of people are losing their lives, and there's no statistics on if they had life insurance or not. But if I could sit there and listen to the families and find out the person who died had life insurance or not, did they have enough? Did they have life insurance? Did they have the good life insurance? Because there's a lot of life insurance out there that doesn't help the family at all. So the main thing is to make sure it's enough. Because $10,000 is not enough to bury somebody and help the family with the expenses. Okay? You need a lot more. 50 probably will be the minimum, to make sure everything's supported for the family and to bury you also. So we changed ours to Transamerica, just to let you know, after I joined the financial company. And from there, it's just a matter of me trying to create additional residual income. And that's what I'm working on. And that's what I've been doing. I created a business on my own, sole proprietor business, and things are doing okay. I'm doing website building, and website building is one of those skills or technical skills that can go on in the future, because some people will need websites. You can build yourself. So a lot of websites now say you can build your own website, but a lot of people don't have that technical expertise dealing with computers and website language and what they need to get. So that's why I want to create a job for myself or a business so I can help those people out. It may not bring in a lot of income, but if I do it right, I can get some clients and then get that residual income. And if I keep doing it right, I might be able to hire some people to help out with new clients. It could be a business later on if I want to. So that's the kind of things you have to think about also. So getting back to Derek, and also that we discovered that Derek, had some dogs that he brought back with him for North Carolina. And then as you notice in the video, that he was trying to live in shelters or get housing, but mostly places don't allow pets, because you understand pets cause damage to furniture, the floor, especially if they're not, pets in the house, or how that works out. So then now you talk about extra costs or not getting your down payment back because they got to fix the floor. But he wasn't willing to give them up. So, of course, he stayed homeless because of that. So you have to consider things in life at a certain point. So let's get back to this. So Derek lived with friends for a while up to 2013. He lived in shelters. We talked about that. And then he was diagnosed in 2015 with the same illness as his father. So he went through a lot of things, cost, also deal with insurance and stuff. And he was not able to find a job like he had before, especially at his age, to work. And, that's, like I said, I repeat it again, that is the most important thing. When you get older, you have to realize that, will I be able to stay on this job or get rehired in another job at a certain age? And then they're going to ask you a little bit about health, even though they shouldn't, but it will tell if you work on a job if you have health problems, because then now you spend a lot of time at the doctor. That could be problems too. All right? So basically, after the story with Derek, you have to realize that even if you become a millionaire, you have to know what to do with your money. That's the key. And this workshop is just to tell you what things you need to do, give you resources so that you can protect your future. Credit is one of those things that we're going to talk about in some of the workshops. I ain't going to sit up here and say I am a credit expert, but I know enough about credit on what you need to go, where you can go to get information, and basics on what you should do and what you should not do. And if you're one of the households that has both parents, the wife and the husband, y'all have to at least come together on certain things to try to understand. One or two, y'all have to understand how credit works, how finances work. Y'all got to know how, if you save up money, where to save it at and get some money, earn interest or dividends from it. You have to realize that if you pay a lot of bills at the same time, it could be a problem. So you got to find a way to manage the bills and keep the bills low as possible. Y'all both got to work together. How can we save money to pay for a mortgage? To pay the mortgage off soon as possible. And if you're one of those who are lots of thousands of people that rent homes, the problem with the rental thing, you can't even write that off in the taxes no more. They got rid of that years ago, which is sad, because if I'm renting, I'm helping somebody make money. Why can't I get a tax break from that? Because I'm supporting the person who owned the building or the apartment or a condo. Then should I get some kind of tax break for that? But they took it away, and I don't know if they're gonna put anything like that back again. But for all those who renting places to live, you got to try to get out of there. But if you don't take care of your credit, you don't learn enough about finances on how to do a lot of things, you're gonna be stuck renting for a long time. And the greatest dream of Americans is to have their own household, a place they can call their home, a place where they can go out in the backyard, front yard, have a garage so you can store all the stuff you got. You know what I'm saying? Because believe me, I know I got a lot of stuff too. So I got to get rid of a lot of stuff also. So with that in mind, I don't know what his situation was as far as finances, what he learned or he did not learn, but I deal with a lot of companies, and the power of choice is in your hands. The power of choice is that you want your family and yourself to have a better future, or are you just so happy with what you have right now you don't care? I'm telling you right now, just like many thousands of people who went through what Derek went through, it will happen to you. No matter what you do, unless you change your mindset on what finances is all about. I talk to a lot of people, and they don't want to even listen to anything free no more about financial stuff. A lot of people, I talk to a lot of people, say, hey, you want to hear anything about finances? Just for 45 minutes to sit down and talk? No. I mean, at least give it a chance. Just listen. No, it's information is free, but it's something that you should at least have and understand. And the companies I deal with is like Transamerica, Pacific Life, Prudential. Some of these and you dealt with before, or maybe dealing with now. Alliance, Nationwide on your side. Everest, Jackson, which is a national life insurance company. You got Franklin Tipton with investments that will deal with investments. So if you want those who want to invest in some stuff or anything like that, give me a call. I have business partners who've been doing this a lot longer than I have, but they are great resources and they can help me out to help you out. And there's so many things that we can offer as a financial institute for you. All you have to do is just reach out and just ask. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. Selling you anything is the last thing I want to do personally. This workshop is free. It's for you and your family. So hopefully the information I give to you will help you out, because I have a story also how things didn't work out like I wanted to with my mom when she died, and that's going to be another story later on that I will create a video on. But after that experience, I realized that I got to find some way to make money on the side and not rely on my 9-to-5 job, because 9-to-5 jobs is not going to make you rich, and that's the plain, simple truth. All right. So hopefully this is a lot of information I gave you was good. And then it is, just hit me up, message me, say, hey, this video was great. Thank you for the information. I would like to get more information. Send me your email, send me your phone number. I can give you a call and we can go from there, because you never know. Tomorrow may be too late. End of the week may be too late. And if you wait a couple months, it definitely could be too late. Start now with knowing what you have and what you don't have, and especially with the knowledge of finances. All right. Thank you. Take care. This will conclude our workshop for today. Like I said, the video hopefully will be available soon for all those who couldn't be here. Thank you very much.